Hi there. So in today's session, we are going to be talking about this translating figurative language, and this topic is part of lexical adjustment topic. So as you know that every writer possesses their own style, and it is the way in which they order their thoughts in words. So to express their style, a writer usually uses figurative language. As you know that figurative language does not have its literal meaning. So by knowing the style, by knowing the figurative language used by the writer is important in translation. Why? Because it enables us to make clear of the figurative language, or it enables us to make clear or to send the message behind the expression written by the author. So here I'm going to show you some common figurative languages among others. Let's begin. Euphemism is the first figurative language that we are going to be talking about. As you know, the function of this figurative language is to soften the word. Yes, it is to make a polite expression of the word. Here I have some example of euphemisms. The first one, look at here, I have a sentence. He passed away. So pass away, we have literal meaning for this pass away. Pass away with literal meaning is died. And we can translate this sentence into, we translate the word he into beliau or dia. And after that, we need to translate that euphemism, passed away. So we need to find a figurative language of died in Indonesian. As you know that we have several words to express or to express, or let's say several verbs to illustrate about died. The first one is mati, second is meninggal, third is wafat, fourth is tewas, and five maybe we also have mampus, yeah. And as you know that euphemism is the function of this figurative language is to soften the word, so to make a polite sense. So from those five varieties of the word of died, I mean, we need to choose the correct sense of pass away. So the correct translation of pass away is wafat, because wafat is more polite than any others optional words of died. And look at here, we have the second example. He is mentally unbalanced. Mentally unbalanced. So the literal meaning of mentally unbalanced is mad or crazy. So how to translate this sentence into Indonesian? Okay, so first we translate he into dia. Okay, dia or beliau, you may also. He is mentally unbalanced. Mentally unbalanced. We need to find Indonesian euphemism that covers this literal meaning of mad or crazy. So what do you think? Do we have this Indonesian euphemism? Okay, so the best way to translate this sentence is dia terganggu ingatannya. So instead of saying dia gila, ya kan, daripada menyebutnya dia gila atau mentranslate-nya menjadi dia gila, so it sounds less polite, or it sounds implied. So the best way to translate this sentence is dia terganggu ingatannya. So in translating these euphemism words from source language, which is English, to Indonesian, so we need to find an equivalence euphemism in target language, which is Indonesian euphemism. However, if you cannot find the exact euphemism, so the worst way is by translating literally, by using its literal meaning. Okay, so The second is metaphor and simile. What are these two figurative languages? Do you still remember? So what is the function of these figurative languages? Okay, so uh, metaphor and simile are for making a comparison between two objects, whether it is compared directly or indirectly. And here I have some examples. Look at here. The first example is as hard as rock, and the second is as poor as a charged mouse. It must be mouse. Sorry, it mistyped. And the third is he's like a parrot. He is as old as the hills. And the last is he is a bookworm. Okay, as you can see here, there are some types of the way of comparing two things. The first one by using as, adjective as, and the second is by using to be and like, such as is like, and the third is by using is, as again, as, adjective as. And how to translate this metaphor and simile into Indonesian figurative language, Indonesian metaphor and Indonesian simile. As you can see here, look at the first example. We have as hard as rock, and we translate this as hard as rock. Okay, hard is keras and rock is batu, and we change as by using the word of seperti. So you can translate as hard as rock into keras seperti batu. Or you can also use awalan se. So bound morpheme of se. For example, here keras seperti batu, we can also translate as hard as rock into sekeras batu. And look at as poor as charged mouse. Okay, but it's a bit different, yeah, as you can always that compare this to comparison. Even both sentences are using as, adjective as. However, the way to translate these two sentences is quite different. Look at here. For the second example, as poor as charged mouse, we translate it into sangat melarat or miskin sekali. Okay, so at this part, you can translate this figurative language by using its literal meaning. When we do that strategy, so we need to, what's that, we need to know that we do not have this was that we do not have this comparison, we do not have cultural and contextual meaning of chart mouse, ya. Jadi kita tidak mengenal bahwa chart mouse itu adalah simbol, or chart mouse itu adalah pengandaian untuk ekspresi atau untuk adjektif poor atau miskin. Kita tidak memiliki itu. So, we translate this sentence by using literal meaning. So, as poor as charged mouse. So, literal meaning of this with that figurative language is very poor. So, that is why we can translate this sentence by using literal meaning. Sangat melarat atau miskin sekali. Okay, so you know the difference between these two expressions. The first one, we can translate it, this English metaphor into Indonesian, because we have this cultural, we have this what's that, this figurative language culturally. We know that keras seperti batu, keras batu, we have this kind of expression. However, we do not have any expression for semiskin tikus gereja. Kita tidak memiliki this kind of expression. So we translate this sentence by using literal meaning. Sangat melarat atau miskin sekali. Okay, now look at, we jump to the last example. She is a bookworm. Okay, at this part you can see she is a bookworm. Nah, here I have an explanation. So, bookworm tidak diterjemahkan dengan cacing buku. So, we do not know, we do not have this kind of expression. We do not have the figurative language of cacing buku. Tidak ada ya. However, we have Indonesian figurative language that shows about uh, very eager to read, or making reading as the hobbies. So we have this kind of expression which is kutu buku ya. Jadi kita tidak menyebutnya cacing buku, but we use kutu buku. So for this expression, she is a bookworm, we translate this figurative language, this bookworm, into kutu buku. However, you can also translate it, these sentences by considering its literal meaning. For example, it is also a good translation if you translate it into dia sangat suka membaca. So it depends. It depends on the it depends on the contextual translation that you want to make. It depends on the function of communication. So if you think that it is enough for you by using its literal meaning, so it translated into dia sangat suka membaca, because you consider the function of communication, the function of language as a communication tool. So you can translate this by only using dia sangat suka membaca. And translating this metaphor or simile words from source language, we need to find an equivalent euphemism in target language. Sorry, equivalent metaphor and simile, right? In target language. Or you can explain the meaning of figurative language by using communicative translation, by considering it the function of language as communicative tools. And the third is personification. Well, I believe that you are familiar with this figurative language. So personification contains the endowing inanimate objects or abstract ideas with human qualities or human attributes. Yeah. So if you see coconut trees on the beach and their leaves are blow softly, okay, waving hand, um, or blowing softly by the wind, you feel as if there were human being waving their hands to you. So it means that the coconut tree possessing human quality, since you know that a coconut tree cannot move, so and it does not have hands as well, so you know that personification is giving human qualities on objects or on abstract ideas. So here I have some examples. Look at here. The old train crept along the narrow path, and the hurricane swept away all the ship in the harbor. Okay, these two examples illustrate personification. Crept along the narrow path. As you know that the train cannot creep, because where's that? Creep is a quality that possessed by human. And look at here, hurricane swept away. Okay, swept away. You know that hurricanes do not have hands to do that, right? Uh, so it possesses human qualities. It possesses human attributes to do so. So how to translate this to personification? Again, you need to find equivalence personification in interrogative language, which means in Indonesian. We have merangka, okay, merangka. So this is an example of verb that show human qualities, or that show human attributes that can be possessed by objects. In this case is the old train. So you can translate the old train crept along the narrow path into kereta api tua itu merangkak menelusuri celah-celah pegunungan. Okay, look at the second example. For swept away. So we translate by using the word menyapu. Okay, so angin puting beliung menyapu semua kapal yang ada di pelabuhan. As you can see here, we can find equivalent personification in Indonesian context for swept away, which is menyapu. So translating this personification from English source language, we need to find an equivalent personification as well in target language. Well, the last is idiom. So what is idiom? So based on dictionary, I have two definitions of idioms. The first one, idioms is a group. Idiom is a group of words whose meaning cannot be predicted from the meaning of the constituent words. Okay, and the second is idiom is a linguistic usage that is grammatical and natural to the native speaker of a language. So based on this definition, there are two kinds of idioms. The first one, the meaning cannot predicted from the literal meaning, so the meaning is quite different to its literal meaning, so that is idiom. And the second, it use grammatical particular rule of grammar, and this grammatical structure or grammatical rules are natural to the native speaker of language, or if it is the source language is English, so it means that it is natural to English native speaker. For the first type of idioms, we have an example, or two actually, two examples. The first one, don't break your mother's heart. Look at here. And the second, this is university has produced many great men of leather. Okay, look at the first example. Break your heart, your mother's heart. So look at here. I already give you an explanation. We translate these idioms break your mother's heart into kecewa. Why not patah hati? Well, you need to consider this sense ya. Patah hati biasanya dipakai untuk menjelaskan perasaan sepasang kekasih, bukan untuk menjelaskan perasaan seorang ibu. So instead of translating these idioms into jangan membuat patah hati ya, ibumu, itu sedikit kurang tepat. Lebih tepatnya adalah kecewa. Instead of using patah hati, so the better way is using kecewa. Now look at here the second example of idioms for the first type. Great man of leather. So you cannot translate it literally because the meaning of this noun phrase, great man of letters, is not as its literal meaning. Great man of letters means sarjana. It's related to the degree, particular high school, what's that? Particular high education degree, which is sarjana. So you need to know the meaning of great man of letter to translate it into target language Indonesian. Now we move to the second type, and here is the example. The book of which he speaks is good. Nah, look at here. So as I told you before, that idiom is also a linguistic usage, or that is grammatical, and it is natural to the English native speaker of a language native speaker. Sorry, the book of which he speaks is good. Here the idiom is of which he speaks. So we can translate which or of which by using the word yang in Indonesia. And after that we need to do modulation ya. Kita perlu melakukan modulasi, yaitu pengubahan kata. So by changing the verb, mengubah kata kerja dengan menambahi imbuhan yang sesuai. So that is modulation. Itu modulasi ya, mengubah kata kerja dengan menambahi imbuhan yang sesuai. Sehingga kalau diterjemahkan menjadi buku. The book you can change into buku, of which itu diubah menjadi atau ditranslate menjadi yang He speaks is good. Dia bicarakan, oke. He speaks, harusnya dia bicara ya. Tapi kalau ditranslate menjadi dia bicara, itu kurang tepat. Sehingga perlu dilakukan modulasi atau pengubahan kata dengan menambahkan imbuhan, yaitu akhiran kan. Sehingga buku yang dia bicarakan itu bagus. So this is one of the way to translate idioms. Okay, so we come to the end of this session. So in short, we can say that in translating figurative language, you are somewhat free from grammatical structure and diction. However, you should change with equivalence figurative target language. And don't forget, you need to translate the message, you need to translate the sense, and you need also to consider the function of language as communicative tools. And if you cannot find any equivalences, you have to understand the meaning of this figurative language, and after that interpret the message expressed through the figurative speech or a message expressed by using literal meaning. After that, say it in your words. It means that you can translate by using literal meaning, and you can describe the meaning by using your own words.